In the shadows of society, there were men who rose to power, men who bent the rules, and men who became legends in their own right. In the annals of crime, few names stand out as starkly as Al Capone, John Gotti, Charles Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Vito Genovese. These men were the architects of an underworld that thrived beneath the veneer of law and order. In the roiling 20s, the Prohibition era provided fertile ground for organized crime. This was a time when the law turned a blind eye and the underworld flourished. Al Capone, the infamous Scarface, rose to prominence during this time, his empire built on the smuggling and sale of illegal alcohol. A man of ruthless ambition and brutal tactics, Capone's reign over Chicago was a testament to the power of the underworld. Yet he was not alone. Across the country, other men were carving out their own empires. John Gotti, the charismatic and flamboyant Teflon Don, ruled with an iron fist, his reputation built on fear and respect. Charles Lucky Luciano, a strategic and cunning leader, was instrumental in the formation of the 5 families of the New York Mafia, a structure that endures to this day. Meyer Lansky, known as the mob's accountant, was a financial wizard who turned organized crime into a profitable business venture. Vito Genovese, a man of ruthless determination, left a trail of blood and power in his wake. Together, these men would form the Mafia Commission, a governing body that would dictate the rules of the underworld for decades to come. These were men of vision and ambition, men who saw opportunity where others saw only risk. They were not bound by society's laws but created their own, a code of honor and loyalty that defined their world. They lived by their own rules, and in doing so, they shaped the underworld in their image. These men were not born into power, but they seized it with both hands, creating a legacy of crime that would endure for decades. Al Capone, a name synonymous with organized crime, ruled the Chicago underworld with an iron fist. Born in Brooklyn, New York, to Italian immigrant parents, Capone was a product of his environment, an environment that was rife with crime and hopelessness. But Capone was not one to be held back by circumstances. He moved to Chicago in his early 20s, ready to make a name for himself. Capone's rise to power was swift and brutal. He joined the Notorious Chicago outfit, a powerful criminal organization led by Johnny Torrio, Capone's mentor. When Torrio retired in 1925, Capone took over the reins. He was just 26 years old, but his reign as the head of the Chicago outfit had begun. Capone was ruthless, but he was also savvy. He knew that in order to hold power, he needed to win the hearts of the people. So he presented himself as a modern-day Robin Hood, generously donating to charities and providing for the poor. But behind this benevolent facade, he was orchestrating a reign of terror. He was responsible for numerous murders, including the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, which solidified his hold on Chicago's underworld. But Capone's reign wasn't to last. The law was closing in on him, and in 1931 he was indicted for tax evasion. Despite his best efforts, Capone was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. His health deteriorated rapidly in prison, and in 1939 he was released on parole due to his failing health. Capone lived the remainder of his days in his Miami estate, a far cry from his days as the kingpin of Chicago's underworld. He died of a heart attack in 1947. Capone's reign was short-lived, but his impact on the world of organized crime was everlasting. His name became a byword for organized crime, and his life story continues to fascinate and horrify us in equal measure. Al Capone, the kingpin of the Chicago outfit, remains one of the most infamous figures in the annals of American crime history. John Gotti, the charismatic boss of the Gambino crime family, was known as the Teflon Don for his ability to evade the law. Born in the Bronx, New York in 1940, Gotti was quick to ascend the ladder of organized crime, fueled by a potent mix of ambition, ruthlessness, and cunning. Gotti's rise to power began in the mid-70s when he became a capo, or captain, in the Gambino family. However, it was the murder of Gambino boss Paul Castellano in 1985, a hit that Gotti orchestrated, which propelled him to the top. As boss, Gotti ruled with an iron fist, maintaining order within the ranks and expanding the family's criminal empire. Yet it wasn't just his criminal activities that drew attention. Gotti was a public figure, a man who courted the media and reveled in the spotlight. He was known for his flamboyant attire, often seen in expensive suits and ties, earning him another nickname, the Dapper Don. His charisma and charm were magnetic, attracting a level of attention unheard of for a mob boss. But fame has its price. Gotti's high profile made him a target for law enforcement. Despite numerous attempts, the authorities struggled to make charges stick, hence the nickname the Teflon Don. However, his luck eventually ran out. In 1992, Gotti was convicted on charges including murder and racketeering, largely due to the testimony of his underboss, Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano. Gotti spent the remainder of his life in prison, dying of throat cancer in 2002. His reign marked a significant era in the history of the American Mafia, a time when the mob was both feared and, in some quarters, admired. Gotti's flamboyant style and audacious demeanor made him a media sensation, but it also led to his downfall. His story serves as a stark reminder. In the world of organized crime, no one is untouchable. Charles "Lucky" Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Vito Genovese were the power behind the throne, the masterminds who orchestrated the rise and fall of empires. Charles "Lucky" Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Vito Genovese were three key figures who played pivotal roles in the formation and establishment of the Mafia Commission, the governing body of the American Mafia. Their influence can still be felt today in the realm of organized crime. Luciano, the architect of modern organized crime, was instrumental in setting up the commission in the early 1930s. Born Salvatore Lucania, he later changed his name to Charles Luciano, but it was his moniker, Lucky, that stuck. This Sicilian-born crime boss was known for his strategic thinking and ability to form alliances. Then there's Meyer Lansky, often referred to as the mob's accountant. Born in Grodno, then part of the Russian Empire, Lansky immigrated to the United States as a young boy. His financial acumen helped the mob funnel money through various operations, significantly increasing their wealth and influence. Last but not least, Vito Genovese, a man whose ruthlessness was only matched by his ambition. Born in Italy, Genovese moved to the United States in his teens. He quickly climbed the ranks of the mob, eventually becoming the head of the Genovese crime family. His thirst for power and control was a defining characteristic, leading him to commit numerous crimes, including murder. These three men, each with their unique skills and perspectives, helped shape the American Mafia into a well-organized, efficient, and above all, profitable criminal enterprise. They understood the importance of cooperation, creating a system where the different crime families could work together rather than against each other. This unity, though often tested, was a significant factor in the Mafia's success and longevity. Their lives were not without controversy or conflict, but each left an indelible mark on the world of organized crime. They were men who preferred to operate from the shadows, but their influence was far-reaching and profound. Though they preferred to operate from the shadows, their impact on the criminal underworld was no less significant. These men may have left the world, but their legacy of crime endures. Al Capone, John Gotti, Charles "Lucky" Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Vito Genovese were not just notorious criminals, they were architects of an underworld empire that forever transformed the face of organized crime. Their names, synonymous with power, fear, and ruthless ambition, remain etched in the annals of criminal history. Their stories a cautionary tale of the price of power and the cost of greed. Al Capone's reign over the Chicago outfit set a precedent for organized crime, establishing a blueprint of ruthless efficiency and brutal control. His influence seeped into every corner of the Windy City, and his legacy still casts a long shadow over Chicago's underworld today. John Gotti, the charismatic and flamboyant Teflon Don, brought a new level of public visibility to the Mafia. His audacious defiance of law enforcement and his ability to evade conviction time and again earned him a level of notoriety that continues to captivate the public imagination. Charles "Lucky" Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and Vito Genovese were the architects of the modern Mafia. Their organizational structure, the Commission, still influences organized crime groups worldwide. Their alliance, while fraught with tension, proved to be one of the most powerful criminal partnerships in history, marking a new era of sophistication and coordination in the underworld. Their individual stories are compelling, but together they paint a picture of a dark and complex web of power, deceit, and ambition. Were there joint crimes? Absolutely. They were collaborators in a world where trust was a rare commodity. Their shared ventures, while shrouded in secrecy, speak to the interconnectedness of their criminal pursuits. Their stories serve as a stark reminder of the allure of power, the consequences of greed, and the enduring legacy of a life lived on the wrong side of the law. These men may have exited the stage, but their influence lingers, their names still whispered in hushed tones, their legacy of crime a dark testament to the enduring allure of the underworld.